Hello everyone, let's make some very simple bread. We are going to be using some dried yeast. This is Allinson's and it is literally, let me show you inside, just dry yeast. And we're using some strong wholemeal flour. This is the one that I get from Lidl's. It's only a £1 something or other, and you can make lots with it. So I thought I'd show you how I make my really easy bread, and I prove it in the microwave and I bake it in the air fryer. So really modern, really twist, but it's really easy and really simple. So the first thing I do is I take a pint of water, put it in the microwave and let it, I'm just going to turn it on, let it cook for, or turn the microwave on for 2 minutes, which allows the water, it gives you a proving box area which is steamy and is really nice. So what we need is, it's the simplest of simplest recipes. So we are going to put about 8 spoonfuls of flour. So, whoops, falling everywhere. One, I've got a hole in the bag there, that's why. Turn it around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's fine. I've got just a little bit for doing on the board. Let me just clear that little bit up. It's going to annoy me. My work surface is clean. Okay, then you add, let's get a teaspoon. So then you add a teaspoon of yeast. Just sprinkle that in like that. Then you add a pinch of salt, so about that much. And then you add, now I like adding a little bit of honey. This is the Christmas honey that I've shown you before, so add a little bit of that. And you want some warmish water. So I am going to, I'm just going to turn the kettle on a little bit, and because you want it to be tepid. So mix this in first. Now I'm going to put the honey in with the water. So I'm just mixing that so that it's all mixed in together. You can use it with white flour. I like using wholemeal flour because it gives you a little bit of extra fibre. So we're just going to make a well in the middle, and I just need the water to be just tepidly warm, so I think that'll probably be about right. So let me just put that in there and see. Let's see how warm that is. Oh, that's probably a little bit too warm. Let me just take a little bit of that out and add some cold in. You want it to be what they call tepid, so for all us ladies out there, the sort of temperature that we would have the bath water, you know, when you were bathing a baby. And I'm literally just going to pour some of the water in. Now I'm not measuring it exactly. I'm going to leave that in a pool for a minute because I want to add a spoonful of honey, because it just adds some extra flavour. You could put a little bit of sugar in. The reason you put sugar and salt in is because it gives the yeast something to feed off of. So we always put something sweet and something savoury, so the salt and the sugar helps the yeast to feed off it. So that's all I'm going to do in there. Then I can mix that, and I can start to just mix this in. Now we want it to be a wet mixture. We don't want it to be dry, because we're not going to be doing a lot of kneading with this. We want it to be, as I say, a nice wet mixture. So you can see I'm literally just adding more and more water in, just a bit at a time, until as we mix it through, it will be a nice wet mixture. So you can see I'm adding quite a bit of water in here, and that's exactly what we want. We want it to be a nice wet mixture. So that's probably about right now. Can you see how it's, oh, I might actually even need just a little bit more. You can see how it soaks it up. A little bit more on here. And I'm just mixing it through, and I'm just mixing it through with a spoon. That should be fine now. That's perfect. Now I'm just going to put something in underneath, because otherwise it slides about. So I always put a tea towel in underneath, and then it helps it not to slide about so much. So this, I'm just mixing it round. Can you see how wet it is? I'm just going to scrape it off of here, because quite often you'll get some which is more floury on your spoon, and we don't want that. So just take that off like that. And I'm doing it with a spoon. You could do it with a you could do it with your hands. I don't do it with my hands to start off with, because it's so sticky. But can you see how that is? So I'm literally just making sure that I'm getting all of the flour off the edges, and just mixing it round a bit. And you can see it's literally just a flour and water mixture like that. Okay, that's all we need to do to start off with. Okay, so there's none of this kneading forever and stuff like that. This is the simplest recipe for making bread that you'll find. And as I say, it takes 15 minutes to cook. So it's a really simple, easy one. Okay, so that's going to go there. Let's put my spoon on there. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put this lid on, leaving a gap like that. And I'm going to put it in the microwave for half an hour, and then we'll be back, and then we'll do a little bit of kneading. So half an hour, and then that should be it. So I'll be back shortly. Hello, right, so it's just had its half an hour, and you can see it's already grown quite a bit. So what you need to do is, I am going to wet my hands first, because it's going to be quite sticky, and we're going to pick it up and give it a good old knead through now, because it'll start to be, not a huge amount, but it will start to be a bit more sort of elastic. Let me just get my tea towel underneath, and then it doesn't rattle about too much. Okay, so as I say, dip your hands in water, because then it doesn't stick quite so much. But as it gets more glutinous and stretchy, it will be, can you see here how as I'm moving it across, it's becoming nice and stretchy. So you just need to keep turning round and stretching it and stretching it and stretching it, and just keep working it round. Can you see how it's starting to starting to stretch quite a bit now. And as I say, you just need to keep turning it round, and I'm picking up a piece at the bottom and moving it into the centre. Keep doing that round and round and round. And the more you do it, the more it stretches the gluten, and you get a nice fluffy light textured loaf, or more than one loaf because we're making a few, because we're going to be cooking it in the air fryer. So and I can keep dipping my hands in the water, because can you see, as soon as I dip it into the water, all of the stickiness comes off your fingers. So you sort of do it for a couple of minutes, not a huge amount, but just like a couple of minutes, like this. There we go. And you can see it's stretching each time, which is pretty good. And then we don't need to let it rise again. We can let it rise once we've actually made it. So I'm just going to clean my hands off for a minute. Like that. And then just dry my hands off. Then I am going to turn round and get, I need to just get a bag, so I'm just going to grab myself there like that. Right, I'm growing myself plastic bag like this. Okay, and I'm going to put that, is going to go into the microwave. Let me show you, because I'm not going to be able to show you the inside of the microwave, but you want a bag like that and just sort of puff it up, and then you're going to put inside, put that in the microwave, and it just adds an extra bit that will allow everything to rise nicely. Now I'm using I have a little tiny air fryer, so I'm using these little dishes like this. Now if you're doing it in the oven, you don't need to, or you've got a bigger air fryer, and I've got this one which is about, I think, 4 inches across. So I've got both of those, and that's what I'm using. The first thing I need to do with this is, I'm just putting that to one side, is to just give them a little bit of a greasing. So I use just a little bit of olive oil. So a little bit of olive oil in there like that. And then all I need to do is to just give it a little bit of a, all the way around the sides, right the way around the sides like that. Okay, so that's one, and then it means that nothing sticks, and also it gives the outside a nice sort of flavour. Okay, now you can add all sorts of things to your bread, so you can add herbs and things like that if you want. I tend to not add too much, because I don't, you know, sometimes my bread is sweet and sometimes my bread is sour. So, and I'm literally just using the oil from the first one, because there's enough of it to just go around and do the other ones. So this might seem a bit strange, but if you've got these sort of little ramekins, they're really rather good for doing bread. Particularly when, and this is when I said this bread takes, these little ones take 10 minutes in the air fryer, and the bigger one takes about 15. Okay, so I've got those four. That size one takes about 15 minutes. So those are now ready to go. Move that out of the way. Bring this one back in here like that. Now, what I want to do is I want to flour my surface so again things don't stick. And I'm going to put quite a bit of flour and a bit down there so I can add some more in on there. Okay, now I'm just going to take this and just put it in onto the floured surface. Like that. Okay, so as I say, all we've done is we've had 15 minutes. Oh, make sure it's not sticking. Like that. Okay, then I need to divide it up. Now, I have got, let's have a look and see where it is actually. Here it is. I've got a bread thing, because I used to do quite a lot of bread, so I am going to take this in. We want one piece about that size, so divide it into sort of a third. That can go in on there. That's really quite sort of sticky, but that's fine. So I'm just taking that there, and then this, we can take this into 4. So that like that, that like that. That's not quite right, and it doesn't have to be exactly, but you know, as near as you can. And you can see it's still quite sticky because it's still got some proving to do, but we're literally just doing it, so let's do that about there. Okay, that should do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the first piece like this, and because it's very sticky, it's quite good because we can start to, here we go, we can start to stretch and roll it in, and because it was very wet, it doesn't matter that we're adding a bit more flour. So what I'm doing is I'm folding in all of the edges like this, turning it over, and then with the flats of my hand I'm just rolling it like that. Okay, so we have a nice little ball, and then that ball is going to go straight in there like that. Okay, so let's do the next one. And again, lots of flour, and you're going to make sure you can see me off there. Yes, you can. Stretch it and move it in, stretch it, move it in, stretch it, move it in, and just keep turning it round like that a few times. So we're taking the outside, moving it into the inside, like this, all the way round, turning it round the other way, and again, flats of hands, and it brings it up into a nice ball. Put that into the second one. Okay, and then let's get the next one, and again, stretch, stretch, stretch. And they will come up quite big, which is fine. This actually is probably a little bit of a big one. I might have to take a little bit of this one off, I think. Yeah, that's going to be too big, so I'm going to take some of that, add that to that one. Sorry, my dog, you can probably hear her barking upstairs. I think there's a cat walking down the road. And she's sort of like, I own this road, you're not coming near me. So yes, turning your corners, stretching them in, putting it in, turning it that way, and just turning it round like that. And then that can go in there like that. That's better. It's not quite so big. And this one I think should be fine. But you can see having the flower on makes the difference, so you don't have it all over the place. Hold on a minute, let me just go and do that. Right, I stopped her. She's such a funny little dog. She could hear, if she looks out the window from the upstairs front bedroom window, and if she turns around and sees a cat or something walking down the road, she can't help herself. Right, so that one can go in like that. Okay, so that's those four. Now we've got the bigger one, and again I'm just taking all of those bits up. We can add this one in here, and then we're just again taking the edges, bringing it over the top. And as I say, you know, this is really quick, really simple. All we've done so far is we've waited 30 minutes for the for it to rise, and that's it. So this rise is going to be a little bit is probably about the, well, maybe a little bit longer. I would say probably 40 minutes on this one, 45 minutes. So just turning it round like this, and then taking it that way, turning it round that way, and then this one is going to go into this one like this, and then we're just going to flatten it round so it comes flat into there like that. Okay, so those are the four, well, 5. Okay, and that was just with 8 spoonfuls. You can make whatever size you want. Make sure that that's flattened down. So what I tend to do is I will just make sure that they're sort of centered. Okay, then I'm going to just take the bits off my hands for a minute. I'm not going to wash them at the moment, I'm just going to take the excess off. Okay, then I'm going to take my bag like that. That goes in the microwave, and then these go inside with that hot water still there, and we leave it for 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll be back. Hello, right, so an hour has passed, so I'm just going to open this up. Now you can see that's the bag I was talking about. And if I open it up, can you see how, just do that to there so you can see it. Can you, where am I? I can't show you that in there, can I? Right, those are beautifully, take them out like that. Now, I'm just going to put these 2 in. Let me see, can you see them? You can see them from there, can't you? Yes, I'm just going to bring these hopefully up a little bit. I can't see where I can, here we go, right. So can you see how well they've risen? So what I need to do now is, I'm only going to take 2 out, and keep them warm in there. That's my microwave, which you can see on here. So I've got that on 200. I'm going to take it down to about 180, and I'm going to just prep it for 5 minutes, because what you need to, oh, I need to take the I'm taking the tray thing out, and mine is only a little one, so you preheat it for 5 minutes, and then after, can you see how lovely they're rising? Preheat it for 5 minutes, then put them in, and you leave them in there for 10 minutes, and then they're beautifully cooked. So we'll come back when they've all been cooked, and you can see exactly how they are. I'm just going to show you in here again, because that's the glass of water in here, and that keeps the microwave like a warm box, a proving box. So we'll be back when they're all cooked, but you can see how beautifully they've risen, and it really hasn't taken long at all. Hello, right, so they're out of the microwave, and you can see that they are absolutely lovely. If you tap them, they're hollow. So these took 10 minutes. Now my air fryer will only take 2 at a time because it's a little one, as you know. So 10 minutes for those. And this big one, which is still quite hot because it's only just come out, let me do it with a thing, took 15-16 minutes, and you can see how it's come out beautifully as well. Great rise on it. So one of these, this one obviously was one of the first ones that came out, so it should be drier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on a plate, move these to the side a bit, put this one in the centre, and then we'll slice it. Now I tend to slice it like this, so I will slice it down in the middle like that. It's still a bit warm, but you'll be able to see how airy it is. I just try to get it through because, as I say, you should wait for it to dry out completely, but you just take that like that. But you can see how fluffy and light it is. So let me just do another one on here, because I will have that with my breakfast this morning with just some butter on, I think. But as I say, this is what I make. It doesn't take me very long at all. And there you go, some beautiful, let me bring that up so you can see how light and airy it is and squishy. So there you are, some really simple, easy bread to make. Have a go at it. Made in the microwave and proved in the microwave, made in the air fryer, cheap, easy, economical, and a modern way of doing things rather than in the oven. So I hope you enjoyed it. As always, please stay safe and well. Please be kind, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye bye.